So, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I think we should get started. I hereby declare open the 15th meeting of the 45th session of the Human Rights Council. And I declare open agenda item 4, entitled Human Rights Situations that Require the Council's Attention. We shall now begin the interactive dialogue on the oral progress report with the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, pursuant to Council Resolution 43/26. The list of speakers, as you know, will close in 15 minutes from now, and it is my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Thomas Andrews for his oral progress report. Let's start with the video, please.
It is an honor to be addressing the 45th regular session of the UN Human Rights Council. While COVID-19 has prevented me from joining you today in Geneva or traveling to Myanmar, I want to thank the permanent representative of Myanmar for engaging in a series of conversations with me over the phone, and human rights defenders in Myanmar for engaging with me remotely despite some having to travel considerable distances to use web-based platforms. I would like to note that more than 400 Myanmar civil society organizations recently provided to me and are submitting to you today an open letter expressing their views and recommendations on human rights in Myanmar. Now, in a few short weeks, Myanmar will hold national elections. In July, the permanent representative said that this election should be fair, free, credible, transparent, and that the results should accurately reflect the will of the people. I agree, but I regret to report that even before a single vote is cast, the upcoming election in Myanmar will fail to meet this standard. The results of an election cannot accurately reflect the will of the people when the right to vote is denied because of a person's race, ethnicity, or religion. And I have seen no evidence that the government is willing or prepared to facilitate the right to vote for hundreds of thousands of voting-age Rohingya located in Rakhine state or in refugee camps in Bangladesh. Now, this is not to say that there has not been some progress. Polling stations, for example, will no longer be located in military camps. But there are significant challenges, including the fact that this election will occur as armed conflicts rage. I therefore urged in my last report that Myanmar officials immediately begin to prepare measures that would accommodate voters in conflict zones and provide them the right to vote. I have seen no evidence that this has occurred or that it has even been attempted. The Tatmadaw has subsequently urged that voting be canceled in certain areas because of security. Madam President, I am concerned that denying the right to vote for those living in volatile areas will only exacerbate ongoing armed conflicts. A ballot must always be preferable to a bullet. Another immediate challenge is conducting an election while combating COVID-19. The pandemic is severely restricting opportunities for candidates to campaign, and this has made access to the media particularly important. Unfortunately, in order for candidates to have access to state media, their messages to voters must be approved by the government, including messages that are critical of the government. Vague and subjective criteria allow government officials to prohibit opposition candidates from accessing state media and therefore Myanmar voters. A candidate can be denied this access, for example, if his or her message, and I quote, disrespects existing laws, tarnishes the image of the nation, or defames the Tatmadaw. I recently learned of a candidate who was prohibited from using the term oppressed or mentioning the situation facing children in Myanmar, including a reference to a UNICEF report. The same type of vague and subjective criteria that has been used to imprison activists voicing criticisms of those in power are now silencing candidates seeking public office. Both situations involve violations of human rights, including the right to freedom of expression. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Transport and Communications has ordered the blocking of more websites in Myanmar, including the website of a civil society organization that was reporting on the Tatmadaw and its economic activities and interests. The reason? The site was spreading what the ministry termed fake news. The ministry did not explain what was fake, nor did it provide the opportunity for the group to question or appeal the decision. Other websites ordered shut include news sites serving ethnic minority areas. Now, this is not only an infringement on fundamental rights, it is also dangerous. Information can be critical to saving lives in a pandemic, and information is the heartbeat of a free and fair election. Also dangerous is the government's blocking of internet service in 9 townships in Rakhine and Chin State. Now, the good news, at least on the surface, is that internet service has returned to these townships. The bad news is that it is limited to obsolete 2G service. This means, in practical terms, that access to internet service in these areas continues to be effectively denied. I've been informed that people living in these townships are still unable to send or receive information. On the other end of this spectrum is the danger that candidates and political parties will choose to use bigotry and hate speech as political weapons. The people of Myanmar know that this poison not only can impact an election, but can ignite violence. There should be no place in elections for these incendiary messages, be they on campaign posters or in the internet. Everyone can play a role to stop hate speech. This includes those who control internet.
Just 1 minute. We